Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for the second module of our Capacity Bootcamp series. I thought I'd just remind people again who we are and what this series is about. As you know, Melanin Rich is about entrepreneurs that want to scale their organizations. And our vision, our focus is really about building a community where we all help ourselves, support each other, and where we actually provide all of our members with the tools that they need to achieve their growth ambitions. So be that finding partners, finding staff, finding getting the training that you need, getting the mental support that you need. We want to try and help you with all of those. The bootcamp series is about providing all of the skills and information that is needed to really rapidly grow your business. Because sometimes we don't know what we don't know. A lot of us fall into business as opposed to take a clear step to go into it. And when we get into it, yeah, we make it work, but sometimes we're making it work in spite of real gaps in our knowledge. So what we try to do with the series is to provide information that triggers your curiosity about what else you can do with your business, how much more you can achieve with your business. So we cover finance, we cover marketing, we cover sales, we cover strategy, we cover HR, we cover the legals, basically all of those fundamental building blocks that businesses need, we will be covering over the next 12 months. And today we are looking at marketing, the fundamentals of marketing. And we've got somebody that I've known for, gosh, it's probably approaching 15 years that I've known Prince Will. And Prince Will, well, you will find out for yourself in a few minutes. He is more than an expert in marketing. He has written books on marketing. He has certainly lectured on marketing. He's run his own company on marketing. So you are very honored to get his input today. Please do engage and ask him questions and get as much as you can out of it, because it's a rare opportunity. I guess with that, I would like to introduce you all to Prince Will, and Prince will take over from me and talk you through marketing strategy and fundamentals. Thanks, Prince Will. Okay, you're on mute.
Happen. That tends to happen. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thank you for that very kind introduction. Sometimes when you introduce me like that, I wonder if you're speaking about the same person. But thanks a lot. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, everyone who's here today. First, let me sound check. Make sure everyone can hear me. Can you please type 1 into the chat box? If you can hear me. Can you type 1 in the chat box? You can hear me loud and clear. Thank you very much. Okay, also can I quickly check where Samuel, can you hear me? Samuel, can you hear me? Oluwaseun Lawal, can you hear me? If you can hear me, please type 1 into the chat box. Thank you. Thank you very much. Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Okay, can you tell me what the time is in the city that you are joining us from? What is the time? And where are you joining us from today? Thank you. Okay. Where are you joining us from today? Thank you very much. Kampala. Thank you very much. Thank you. Kampala. I was there a couple of years ago, and Akura is very close to my heart because I went to secondary school not too far from there, many years ago. I think that's safe enough, all right, many years ago. And London, excellent, very good. So we're not too far from each other then in London. Good, good, good. So today I'm going to over the next, I think over the next we still have okay, good. Over the next 2.5 to 3 hours, we're going to go through some concepts. There's quite a bit to cover. We'll cover as much as we can over the next couple of hours. In addition to that, I will also have thank you, Rama. I will also have some activities for us to walk through, just so that we can. I mean, it's I see here that it is a workshop, so we might have some work to do in that regard. But a little bit about myself, and then I'd like to hear a little bit about you. So I'm Dr. Prince Ulomoriguwa. I am professionally trained in marketing. I have a doctorate in business administration. I've got, 3 master's degrees. So at heart, I'm an academic. So all of these are useful in the academic space. As Bambo mentioned, I'm a published author. You can, if you put my name in Amazon, you'll find a book that I've written. But I'm also an entrepreneur, which I think when brings all of this together, I think I'm probably a better academic because I'm an entrepreneur. But I'm also, I think, a better entrepreneur because I'm also an academic. I have found over the last couple of years, at least since I got into entrepreneurship, is like 17 years ago, that these things that we speak about, that we train people on, they are actually useful when it comes to running your own business, when it comes to making decisions about your business, what to do, what not to do, where to go, when to introduce, how to reach your customers, what to say, etc. So today we're gonna cover some of those concepts. And the reason I have these in here is it's just to provide some context. Sometimes when you find when people when we are in these events and you got speakers like myself who are these programs. Somehow people imagine that, we've always been like this. So I put this in here just to help ground ourselves in some reality that so there's a boat with people that look like migrants, trying to move from one country to the other. You can see some European looking people on one end of it. The reason I put this up is to illustrate that was and to drive home the reason why we do this and the reason why I like to do this. Because that was me some 30 odd years ago. Some 30 odd years ago, I was trying to cut a tree with the back of an axe. What that means in effect is that I was trying to be successful, but applying very wrong concepts. I thought that if I left one place and moved to another territory, if I left one country, moving to another country, that I could be successful. I found very quickly that was the wrong way of thinking about things. That if you want to be successful anywhere, that one of the first things that you need to do is to improve yourself. And when you improve yourself, you can be successful anyway. It doesn't matter. You'll realize very quickly that if you are someone who is an idiot, where he comes from, no matter where they travel to, they can still remain an idiot. So what I did with myself was to thankfully, was to realize that actually, that's not the way to go about it. And that if I decide, if I go train, learn, develop, as we're all trying to do here today, that anything is possible. And anything indeed, anything, of course, is possible. So over the period of time, in the last 17 years, I've set up offices in multiple countries. We have over 100 staff, that we pay every month. So this is month end, right, Bambo, isn't it? This is month end. So no, so this is not the happiest times for entrepreneurs. This is month end. But you will find, in business that when you start, it's a bit more difficult to pay the first two, three people than it is to pay 50 and 70 and 100 people. So the things that I'm going to be sharing with you today are things that we have used in our operations, and we have found them to work, and I found them useful. So this is just a little bit about me. Some of the things that we'll be covering today, I'm not sure, considering when we started, the extent to which we can go over all of them, but we will try. We will try and make speed. So now that I've introduced myself, can you quickly type in the chat box? A little bit about you, what you do, if you have been in business, how long you've been in business. I don't think they have how long you've been in business. Can you type that into the chat box quickly? Let me learn a little bit about you so that I'm also able to calibrate these sessions as we make some progress. So if you don't mind, can you quickly type in something in there? Oluwaseun, that would be if you could do that. Samuel, thank you very much. Just a little bit about you, what you do. If you've been in business, what sort of business you are in. Obama, can they unmute their microphones and do that, or they can, if they wanted?
People can definitely unmute. If it's easier to speak, then
Yeah,
please.
if it's easier for you to speak, please.
It's a small group, so please.
Yes, if it's easier to speak, the smaller groups are the best, because there we can interact even much better. Yes. It's Lawal, are you there? Looks like we have a shy audience. Yes,
Yes, hello, good afternoon from here. I'm in
thank
a
you.
school, so that's why I don't want to, so that you won't be hearing different noises. I work in a school, the administrating section of the school, a, a primary and high school. So that's what I do. But basically, I am a content creator, a creative writer, and I advocate for healthy lifestyle. So I've been in and out of business. I buy and I sell, but recently I'm more of service providing. I provide services like to those that want to write and all that. So that's what I do. That's the brief thing about me.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I see quite a bit of um, uh, can-do spirits. A lot of thank you very much for sharing that. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Without effective administrators, schools are in trouble. So I appreciate what it is that you do. I also run a school. I run a school in Ghana, for kids, and high school up to JHS 3. So I can imagine what the demands can be. And Samuel, agribusiness, excellent. Value chain dev, inclusive, integrated value chain model. Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thank you. So quite diverse, and this is one of the reasons why sessions like this are useful, because we'll find that the principles that we're going to be speaking about, will apply, regardless of which sectors that we're operating in. So you'll find, for example, Ms. Lawal, that some of the things that we will speak about today, that when you talk about them in your meetings, they will look at you rather differently and say, okay, where is that coming from? Yes, of course, yes, we can use that. Oh, we never thought about that. All right, Sam, Sam, I believe will also find some sort of value in what we're doing. So this is about marketing strategies. All right. So is it and why is it that important? Okay. And many times when you even ask people who work in marketing, when you ask them to define their marketing strategies, they still struggle to identify, what their marketing strategies are. So today we're going to be looking at that. So defining goals, define goals and objectives. So if anyone is telling you about putting together a marketing strategy, then it needs to have been very clear about what the objectives are. We're going to look at developing smart objectives. They need to understand their market and understand their competitions. I've reviewed, in my time, in the 26 years that I've been doing this, I've reviewed thousands of marketing plans. And one of the things that I find striking is the extent to which people do not consider the competition when it comes to developing plans. Identify target audiences. We'll find very quickly. You'll find very quickly that whatever it is that we're selling, whatever services we're providing, is not meant for everyone. So who are these target audiences? And even when we do find these people, all right, even as we're trying to define who these target audiences are, when we find what I want to say to them, what is it that makes us significantly different from the rest of them? So we're going to be looking at we're going to develop value propositions. But one of the difficulties, these are terminologies that people throw around. What is your value proposition? What is your elevator pitch? Can you, give me an elevator pitch in 1 minute? So today we're going to look at what the composition of that is. We're going to see and what the elements are, and that is going to help you put together. That's going to help you put together a value proposition. Should you be asked for it? So for example, if you're trying to find funding for your agribusiness, you need to be able to put something together and be able to say it confidently enough to whoever it is that you're dealing with. And of course, it is difficult for you to implement strategy if you cannot allocate your resources effectively. And we'll look at this again. We'll look at this when it comes to putting together an effective marketing strategy. So the first thing we're going to look at will be objectives. All right, developing objectives, developing goals. So even in the personal development space, which I'm very involved in, we realize that one of the reasons people don't succeed, is that they don't really know what they're trying to achieve. All right. So if you don't know where you're going, then it means that any road can take you anywhere. So you don't really know when you've actually arrived or where you're going to arrive. But also, if we don't have goals, if we don't know what we're trying to accomplish, then the question, of course, is so everything that we're doing is towards the realization of what? All right. So everything. So one of the beauties of having objectives is that it helps you to filter the activities that you're carrying out. It puts you in a position to always ask yourself, so this activity that I'm embarking on is it helping me get closer to my goals, or is it not helping me get towards my goals? So in order for these objectives to be actionable, in order for them to be really useful, in order for them to be able to perform the function of guiding us through achieving, accomplishing anything, they need to meet certain criteria. And this criteria has been put together in a very nice mnemonic called SMART. All right, SMART objectives. Objectives need to be specific, they need to be measurable, they need to be achievable, relevant, and they need to be time bound. But the question, of course, is, why all this? I mean, this is all very nice. This is very nice sounding, but why all of this? All right. So if I ask, for example, that, what are you trying to accomplish in your business this year? It's very often the case that, people will tell you, I want to grow my sales, or I want to find new customers, or I want to get new customers. But what does that really mean, from a SMART objectives point of view? What does it really, really mean? Okay, so being able to craft SMART objectives is fundamental. I am moving on to SMART objectives now because I understand in module one, you will have already, the delegates will have already talked about, I see that they've already done things like SWOT and external analysis, internal analysis, and things like that. So before we get to this point of developing objectives, we need to already be very aware of what is going on, what is going on in the marketplace, so that it helps us to be able to make sure that whatever objectives we are trying to develop, that they are at least, that they will be realistic and will be relevant. So when it comes to the SMART objectives, one will say it needs to be specific. All right, that you need to set real numbers. All right, real numbers, real deadlines. It is not enough. It is not enough to say I want more visitors. What does that even mean? I want more visitors. Because at the end of your planning period, let's say your planning period is 3 months or your planning period is 6 months, and your visitor numbers grow from 1,000 or from 10,000 to 10,200. All right, you could argue that you got more visitors, okay? But is that really all that you can do? All right, is that really the best that you could have done? Is that really what it is? All right, so it is not enough. You got to be very specific about what the incrementals are. And then, of course, if it is the case that your organization deals in multiple products or in multiple services, like Ms. Lawal says, she's into a variety of things. All right, you might want to make sure that you set very clear objectives for each of the activities, for each of the products that you sell. If you operate in different territories in different countries, you might want to indicate, what you want to accomplish in each of the territories. So for example, we run operations. We run operations in Ghana, in Nigeria, and in Kenya. All right. We cannot just say that we want to get more customers because each market is different. All right. Each market is different. So we need to set very specific objectives that is specific to Kenya, that is specific to Nigeria, that is specific to Ghana. Very specific objectives. And then you might find that the challenges in the different markets will be different. So let's say, for example, in Kenya, the challenge might be actually attracting more customers. Whereas in Nigeria, the challenge might actually be retaining customers. That could be the challenge. So find out that even though it is the same products and services that you're offering in different markets, all right, the exigencies of the different markets are different. So therefore, all right, it is important that we're really, really specific in terms of what we're trying to accomplish. And then the objectives need to be measurable. All right, they need to be measurable. So, for example, back again to the things about visitors, we cannot just say we want more visitors. We want to say we want to we want to increase our visitor numbers from 10,000 to 15,000. We want to grow our sales by 5%. We want to grow our website traffic by 10%. So it has to be measurable. So that at the end of the day, if we want to determine whether this $10,000 that we have, or 1 million naira, or 2,000, or 2 million Ugandan shillings that we have invested into that particular project, when we want to determine if it was successful or not, then we can say, yes, okay, we moved our visitor numbers from 10,000 to 14,500. We did not exactly get to the 15,000, but we moved it from 10,000 to 14,500. So it is measurable. There is something that we say in management that you cannot manage what you don't measure. And what you measure gets done, what you measure regularly gets done better. All right. So this thing about measurement is really, really important. And then it has to be attainable. All right. Work towards a goal that is challenging but possible. Okay. And try to make sure that you don't take over the world in one night. All right. What this simply means is that when you do your analysis, you do your SWOT. Remember, your SWOT is about your strengths and your weaknesses, the opportunities in the marketplace and the threats in the marketplace. All right. So, for example, when you do your analysis, you realize that the budgets that you have, all right, or the money that you have to invest in marketing is $5,000, for example. That is what you go to invest in marketing. All right, if that is all you got to invest, if that is all that you've got to invest, $5,000, then you cannot be talking about becoming, becoming a market leader in the detergent market. Right, that is not just going to be possible. You cannot become the market leader in the detergent market. All right, you cannot have more traffic to your website than the Nation newspaper or the Guardian newspaper, for example. You cannot have more traffic than them. So you need to make sure that what it is that the goals that you set for yourself are, the goals you set for yourself are attainable. And the only way you can determine if it's attainable or not, if it is really, and if it is realistic, leading on to the next point, is down to the analysis that you have run originally. All right, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what your opportunities are, and then what your weaknesses are. So those two, the whether it's attainable or achievable, whether it is realistic or relevant, those two are grounded in the analysis which you have done before setting your objectives. And then finally, that it needs to be time bound. All right, this is so important because that element of time is what actually motivates behavior. That element of time, the fact that there's like a deadline. All right, that motivates performance. So when we know, and then it also means that we have we have we have a benchmark that we're going to use to measure our activities by. So when someone says that they're going to grow their customers, for example, they want to increase their customer numbers, no problem. But you have to ask them by when. All right, by when. So if it is the case, if it is a case that you want to grow by 10,000, no problem. All right. All right. But I don't want to be asking you if you have grown. Sorry, you want to grow from 10,000 to 15,000. All right, no problem. Okay. But I want to know by when. All right. Is that in 6 months? Is that in 12 months? All right. If you tell me, oh no, that it can be whenever, then I will tell you that you're not really serious about developing your business. All right. So it is important. It is important that we are able to set clear timelines. So when someone gives you a plan or someone gives you a document that speaks about their intention to accomplish anything. In that document, you will find what their goals or objectives are. People use them interchangeably, even though they are not necessarily the same thing. The goal and our objective, they're not necessarily the same thing. So I'll keep using the word objectives in this situation. In that document, they tell you that they want to achieve top of mind awareness. They want to improve brand preference. They want to gain more users, etc. All of that is fine. All right. But if it doesn't say by what time, then you know that they don't really know what you're doing. All right. They don't really know what you're doing. So it must include a time frame. It must include time frame. Are there any questions for now? Any questions? Are you guys still with me? Questions, please. Any questions so far? Give me a one if you have any questions, two if you don't have any, and then I'll carry on because I want you guys to do some work for me. Any questions? Any questions, please? All right, so based on what I've been speaking about, I have examples here. Okay, I have examples. So to increase the sales of our new skincare range, the sales of our new skincare range from 12,000 boxes a year to 15,000 and to 15,000 boxes in 12 months. All right, that is what it is. So 12,000 boxes means that at the moment, we are doing 1,000 boxes a month. All right, 1,000 a month. Now we're trying to increase that to 1,250 boxes per month. That is that's what it is. That is what it is. Okay, to 1,250 boxes. All right. So this is an example of a smart. This is actionable. It is actionable because when you have a sales team, if you have 5 salespeople working in your business, it means that each of them can have a monthly target of 250 boxes. All right, each one will have one target of 250 boxes. You can break that down weekly as well, so that when you have your progress meetings every single week, you can see exactly how people are performing, and then you know whether anyone is lagging behind and they need support, or there is a challenge in the marketplace, so we need to recalibrate. You will know what you cannot do, even though we have 12 months here. What you cannot do, what you must never do, is to wait for 12 months before you now check whether you've actually achieved the 15,000 boxes. All right, that you cannot do. Okay, that you cannot do. Hopefully, at the end of towards the end of today's session, when we speak about monitoring for effectiveness, I will come back again. I'll come back again to this, to this example, and to provide more justifications as to why. And then the other example is to generate 500 qualified leads for our online fitness program in 6 months. All right, in 6 months. So for each of these examples, all right, we are very clear about what the time frame is. All right, so in 6 months' time, when we are reviewing all of our activities, we're reviewing all of them, we can tell whether we achieved what we achieved in that time frame or what we didn't achieve. All right, it might turn out that here we achieved 600. All right, 600 qualified leads. That is fantastic. That means that we worked our socks off. Whatever initiatives we put in place to accomplish that, they actually worked. All right, they actually work. Now, it might be the case here that instead of 15,000 boxes, we did 18,000 boxes. All right, we want to know why, what happened. Of course, this is a basis for giving people significant bonuses, of course. All right, but none of this is possible. None of that would have been possible if all we said was to increase sales of our skincare range. That's it. Increase of our skincare range, no time frame, or to increase sales of our products. No specific products, no time frames, no numbers, no measurement, nothing. All right. So it is really, really critical. It is really, really critical. And also, you see, when you're trying to raise money, or you're trying to raise money from investors or from the banks and places like that, when you're speaking to people about your business, all right, and you're talking and you're speaking and you're talking numbers. All right, you're talking numbers. Then they know that you have control. You know what is going on. You know what is going on in your operations. You know this person, this is a serious business person. This is a serious professional. Right? If you ask me what our numbers are, what our numbers are, of course, because I've done this over and over and over again, I know what the numbers are. I am driven by the numbers. All right, nothing else matters. All right, nothing else matters. If you check my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that I've written the results over excuses. All right, the results matter. All right, but you cannot measure those results if you have not quantified them. All right, if you have not quantified them, when you quantify those results, then they can really motivate performance, and people can accomplish. Imagine a situation where you have two different sales teams. One sales team knows that they are trying to do 250 boxes. All right, 250 boxes a month. Another sales team knows that they need to increase sales. That's it. All right, which of those two sales teams do you reckon will be better motivated? It is the one that has the numbers. All right, it is the one that has the numbers. Okay, so it is really, really important that we're able to do this. Okay, but that is enough talking for me. This is meant to be a workshop. I need to see that we have at least picked up something, that we have learned something. And the only way I know, that I know is for us to practice. There's an expression by a French philosopher called Descartes. All right, Descartes. I'm going to try and paraphrase it, but it says that you cannot think your way into a new way of acting. You cannot think into a new way of acting, but you can act into a new way of thinking. So I believe in action, right? I believe in action, 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 action. Okay, so what I want you to do, Oluwaseun, no problem. At the end of today's session, we'll do that. Okay, I'll be able to share that at the end of today's session. So please stay with me. Thank you very much. So, all right. So what I need you guys to do what I need you to do is for you over the next 10 minutes is for you to construct two SMART objectives. All right. Okay, you can ignore the word brand there, no problem. If you want to add it, that's fine. If you can construct two SMART, and 10 minutes is too much, let us make it 5 since we did not start on time. 5 minutes, two objectives, okay? Two objectives, okay? Based on what it is that you're doing, based on your organization or one that you're familiar with, two objectives, all right? When you write the objectives, pop it into the chat, and then I'll be able to give you some instant feedback. Let me go back again to the examples that I've given. Let me get rid of all the, yes, there you go. Yes. So I had two samples here. I got two samples here. Now I need you to come back and share. So write two SMART objectives, and then pop it into the chat, and then I can give you some instant feedback. Just pop it in, okay? Zachariah, thank you for joining us. And Mr. Mwangi, thanks for joining us today. Thank you. Very much appreciated. Thanks a lot. Thank you. All right, so let's see how that goes. I will join you guys back in. I'm monitoring it. Two SMART objectives. Let's go. Two SMART objectives. Okay, who's ready with your objectives? Two objectives. If you have one, put it up in there so we can make some progress. Thank you. Zachariah, thank you very much. It is very clear that you have just joined us with your objectives. It's very clear that you have joined us. Thank you very much. Samuel, okay, let me see this. To increase farmers' aggression from 2 tons of maize to 4 tons. Fantastic. All right. Fantastic. I don't know what aggression means. To increase the outsourcing partners from 6 to 12 intake. This is excellent stuff, Samuel. Samuel, this is excellent stuff. This is excellent stuff. Okay. What I will suggest though, Samuel, is that you change the 2 years to 12 months. All right. It doesn't matter if you reduce the tonnage, 2 tons to 3 tons. All right, you can reduce from 2 tons to 3 tons in 12 months. That's fine. And then you can also, for the outsourcing partners from 6 to 12 in 12 months, so that it is one calendar year. Is that okay? Because you see, if you're trying to get funding, for example, all right, it's very unlikely that your funding partners will give you money for 14 months or 15, Bumble, right? Give you money for 13 months. So that works. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Activate Echo Valley system, at least 5. Thank you, Boker. Thanks a lot. That's fantastic stuff. That's good. That's very good. That's very good. 5 partners in excellent. That's very good. Now, with the at least 5 partners, If it is the case, if it is the case that there are zero partners, for example, then we can say to achieve five partnerships in 6 months. Because when we say at least five partnerships, the five partnerships is great, all right. But even when you achieve five partners and you have a boss that is a bit interesting, they'll say, "Oh, you were just trying to get the minimum." Does that make sense? But when you say that to when you say to recruit five partners, and then that can make it can make it even shallower. But thank you very much for that. And I've got to increase my visibility from 4,500 LinkedIn followers to 5,000 followers by the end of June. Okay, so that's an increment of 500 by the end of June. So that's really not too bad. All right, that's really so. So you see, what I like about what you've done, Ms. Lawal, here is that you did not say to increase social media presence. All right, you said LinkedIn followers. So that is very specific. All right, that is very, very specific. Okay, LinkedIn followers. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But because this workshop is about marketing strategy, about strategic marketing, we need to increase the time frames. Does that make sense? Increase the time frames. Okay. So even with Samuel's, which says 2 years, that's okay. But what we'll do is that we will say we want to achieve a one-ton year-on-year increment over the next 3 years, for example. All right. So that it has a longer time frame. So if you're doing LinkedIn for 1 month, then that will be considered rather tactical. So you want to increase that time frame because it pushes you. Because chances are, you see, when you're trying to implement an initiative, okay, it gradually picks up. So if you say that you want to double your LinkedIn followers in 9 months, sorry, in 12 months, for example, that is excellent. All right. And then you begin to work on that. You begin to work on that month in, month out. Publish a book on Amazon by the end of June and by the end of June. Okay, thank you very much. Now, two things, Ms. Lawal. On the first one of LinkedIn, okay, you remember we said that these things have to be very, very specific. So that June that you're talking about, is this June of 2029 or June of 2028? Just let me know. And the Amazon book, end of June, and June, is it June of 2027 or June of 2020, no, 2030? Because I know writing a book is not very easy. All right. Thank you very much. All right. So June 2025. That's fantastic. Okay. So I do remember when I was trying to publish my book. It was a very clear goal for me that particular year, very clear in my mind, that by the end of that year, I was going to be a published author. All right, that was for me that particular year. That was my number one mission, my number one mission. All right, so I really like that. I like that. I like that very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So that's really good. Thanks, guys. Thank you for your participation. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, so with a little bit of refinement here and there, we do get it. Okay, when you send these in any document to anyone, I mean, in any context, they will know without a doubt that you know what you're doing. Okay, that you know what you're doing, and that this is a serious person. Okay, so let us move on from this. Okay, so this is done. Thank you very much. Let us move on from that. Now, let us move on to this thing called segmentation, and I'm going to try to make it I'm going to try and explain all of this stuff that we have on that slide. I'm going to try and make it a bit easier for us to follow through. So imagine that this is a market. And this market has got different types of people. Okay, different types of people, different sorts of people. Okay, this could be male, female, adults, children, older people, younger people, Gen Z, Gen X, Gen Y, all sorts of people. Okay, all sorts of people. So all of these people exist in a market. When they are like these in the market, we say the market is mixed. It is mixed or it is heterogeneous. All right, so different people in the marketplace. But this is how the market is. All right, these are these. If you look out of your window this minute, you see that there are all kinds of people out there. What segmentation is that it recognizes that we have a market that have different people, but these different people can be grouped. These different people in the market can be grouped so that people who have the same characteristics, those who have the same characteristics can be in the same grouping. Are we good? All right, please give me a one if this is clear. Segmentation, if this is clear. So that each of these groups will now be homogeneous. Each of them will now be homogeneous. Give me a one in the chat if that is clear. All right, so that is segmentation. That is it. That is it. That is what segmentation. So what segmentation actually is that it helps you to group, all right, to group those people who have got different characteristics. Okay, we'll look at what those characteristics are, different characteristics, and put them into different buckets. All right, so for example, okay, one of the easiest ones to do is that, for example, those of them in this age could be, let's say 0 to 18. This could be 18 to 24. This could be 25 to 34-year-olds. This could be 35 to 44. This could be 45 to 60. And this could be 60 plus. That's it, for example. That's it. Okay, segmentation. Okay, and this could all be male, female, male, female, male, female, male, female. Okay, so it could be like that is what segmentation is about. Okay, now segmentation in itself is not, I mean, these days now we have all kinds of software, all kinds of tools that we can use to achieve this kind of groupings. What is really, 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 really important here now, what is really, really important is to determine, all right, how do you know as a business? How do you know as a business which of these different groups you want to sell to? No, let me rephrase that. How do you know which of these different groups can you offer something of value to that they will be prepared to part with their hard-earned cash? All right, that is a $1 million question. You answer that question, you can walk to the bank for free. All right, you can walk to the bank and cash out a big check. All right, so how do we know? How do we know which of these? Okay, so this is, when sometimes people say, oh, marketing people, all we do is to run advertising. No, that is not all we do. Okay, marketing involves significant brain work. And part of that brain work comes in the next phase of all of this. So this is segmentation. The next step from this is what we will refer to as targeting. Targeting. That's the next thing, targeting. Okay. But before we get into targeting, let us look at some of the characteristics, some of the variables that are used to segment markets. All right. So please keep this image in your mind. All right, different groups. So when we talk about age, for example, and gender, all right, age and gender, for example, we're dealing with demographic. We're dealing with demographic variables. All right, we're dealing with demographic stuff. This is really easy. This is, demographic stuff. All right, it's also possible that you can also segment according to geography. Okay, according to geography. And then you can segment according to usage rates, for example, or benefit sorts, usages. So call this behavioral segmentation. All right, according to benefit sort. For example, is it possible? Do you think people buy toothpaste for the same reasons? Anybody here? What do you reckon? That there are different toothpaste that offer different benefits, for example. I mean, it's extraordinary when you think about it. All right, it's extraordinary that some people will buy toothpaste because of cosmetic benefits. Some will buy toothpaste because of the, let me call that medicinal. Some will buy because of social benefits. So you find that some companies sell their toothpaste on the basis that it gives fresh breath. So if you're a social animal, that is a big deal for you. But at the same time, you find that the people who buy toothpaste because they want to fight cavities, they don't want cavities in their homes, will tend to have young children with all the sweeties and chocolates and things like that. All right. And then some people who want cosmetic benefits, they buy toothpaste that tell you that it will make your teeth white. All right. That will give you white teeth. All right, so you can have that. And then when it comes to usage rates, for example, all right, some people buy the biggest pack of washing powder because they've got large families. Some people buy only the small pouches, for example. So there are different ways of segmenting the market. And then you have lifestyle psychographic segmentation. What people are interests, activities, opinions, and stuff like that can also be a useful way of segmenting markets. What I would say to you though, and we're going to look at this shortly, is that you use all of these variables to develop what we will call a persona or a profile of your customer. So you find that in the illustration that I gave earlier on, A, B, C, D, E, F, for example, each of those will have who the typical customer is. Each of them. All right, who a typical customer is. So that is the profile or the persona. But in order for you to determine which of them, all right, which of them you want to sell to. In order for you to determine which of these segments make sense, all right, which of these segments should I sell to that will make me money? You need to apply certain criteria. You got to apply a criteria to them, and that criteria could be any of these. It could be any of these. How big is the segment? Don't be fooled though. Don't be fooled though that people are trying to build a business and then they want to go after people. They want to go after a segment that is the biggest. So for example, segment A might have 10 million people. I say, yes, let's go after segment A. But that might not be the smartest thing to do. Segment E might have only 1 million people, and that might be your best bet because segment A might actually be declining and segment E might actually be growing by 20% a year. All right, it could be growing by 20% a year. And then segment A might have 10 competitors and segment E has only 1 competitor. So what do you want to do? Does that make sense? So for example, if we take Samuel, all right, it is possible that you're thinking of which subsector, let's talk about export crops to target. You might find, for example, that that pineapple is doing really well, or cashew nut is doing really well, and then when that happens, we find that a lot of people start going to grow cashews and all that. So that becomes, as we say, that might become quite saturated very quickly. But there's a lot of demand for it, so they go. But when lots of people go in there, the price might also drop. Whereas you might decide that, you know what, you will take your time and you will do avocados. For example, you do avocados, for example. All right. So we need to be very intentional about which of these segments we choose. Do you guys know of a toothpaste brand called Sensodyne? You can type one in the box if you know it. There's a toothpaste brand called Sensodyne. Anybody? Sensodyne is a toothpaste brand for people that are exactly, okay? I can tell you the only reason why that Sensodyne brand, the only reason why it was successful, even in the market that has got Colgate, that has got Aquafresh, Ultra Bright, McLean's, Close Up, and the rest of them. The only reason that toothpaste was successful before they were bought out by GSK was because they went after a very small market of people who had sensitive teeth. But that market was small, but it was big enough for them to be successful. But not just only that, it was too small for the big players to find attractive. All right, it was too small for the big players to find attractive. So they were able to succeed. They're able to succeed. Many years ago, 10 years ago, actually, 10 years ago, when I went to I was doing my research on the Kenyan market. I was doing my research on the Kenyan market to set up an operation in Kenya. So I went into Nairobi in 2014 to do gather some competitor data. We'll talk about competitor analysis shortly. You should never ever go into business without looking at the competition. Like never ever. We get carried away. We get carried away by how big the market is. Oh, this market has 15 million people and it's growing. We get carried away without thinking about the competition. So I went into the market, did all my snooping around. At the time, we were offering our training business, our training business based in Ghana, Nigeria. We're offering marketing courses, accountancy courses, management courses, travel and tourism. We're offering different courses. And I went into Kenya. I did my recce, went around, looked around the place, visited colleges, talked to students, talked to faculty, did all of that. My conclusion when I was heading back, my conclusion was that, you know what? All things considered, especially these, I realized that the companies that were offering accountancy qualifications were too big. They were too strong. They were big and they were strong, and that there was no way I could compete against them. So instead, we decided to focus only on marketing training. To focus only on marketing training, only on marketing training. That's what I had to focus on. Just focus on marketing training. Because you see, a business, to succeed, the business needs to be known for something. And you can't be known, you can't be everything. A business needs to be known. A business needs to be known for something. So we just decided to focus on marketing. All right. I can tell you that 10 years on, and when we joined the market, there were about 4 other competitors in marketing. But for those 4 competitors, we believed we had what it would take to compete against those 4 competitors. 10 years on, we are by far, we are the largest provider of the marketing qualifications in Kenya, by far. In fact, we have been the biggest, maybe for like the last 4 or 5 years, of marketing qualifications in Kenya. Actually, we changed our name. We changed our name from business school to marketing college. All right, we changed our name completely just to focus so that everyone knows that when you hear this name, this is what it means. Now, this is what we're talking about when we say marketing strategy. All right. If you do not select, if you don't think very carefully about which of these segments to target, you can bankrupt your business. All right. If you don't think about it very carefully, you can bankrupt your business because you end up spreading yourself too thin. The players are too big. They've got more money to compete with. And then before you know it, you are out of business. All right. So we took this, and that is how we were able to find a place in the market. So determining determining which of these to target, which of the segments to go after, is the crux, is fundamental to when we talk about marketing strategy. So when someone asks you, what is your strategy? Don't begin by talking about your advertising and your social media. That is nothing. That's about your strategy. You start talking about the people that you are trying to deliver value for. We'll see some of that again when we look at value proposition. Okay, so segmentation, targeting. So you have that, you have segmentation, you have targeting, and then you have the final one called positioning, and I'll come to that shortly. So in here, in this targeting, this target group, these people, so let's say we are going after segment B. All right, so we're going after segment B. In that segment B, we now need to define who that typical person is in segment B, that typical customer. Who is that person? All right, who is the ideal customer in that segment B? Who is our ideal target audience? Who is that person? All right, so we describe them, okay? All right, what they do, what their pain points are, with language, keyword phrases, influencer. What do they read? Where do they go? Do they run? Do they jog? Who are these people? Who are these people? Right? Because it is based on all of these that you will know whether you can reach them on LinkedIn, or whether you can reach them on TV, or whether you can reach them on radio, or whether it is best to send them emails. All right, based on their persona, that is what you determine whether you should sponsor a football game, you should sponsor a marathon, or whether you should sponsor a webinar online. That is what informs it. All right, so this is a very important activity that every business owner needs to do. Okay, who am I trying to reach? Because that way you can speak to them in the voice that they will understand and respond to. All right, so that is segmentation targeting. So it is segmentation, targeting, and then positioning. Segmentation, targeting, and positioning. If you ask me, I've said this on some platforms in the past, that if you ask me, Princewill, what do you reckon is the most important concept in marketing? I will tell you it is that. I'll tell you it is positioning. If you reckon, just wake me up. So what is I'll tell you this positioning. This is so important, because positioning is about achieving a distinct and valuable place in the customer's mind relative to the competition. All right. In Kenya, if you speak to people who work in marketing, who have marketing jobs, marketing roles, and you ask them, and you mention our brand, you mention Simon Page. All right. There are only two things they will tell you. They will either mention CIM, which is a Chartered Institute of Marketing, or they will mention that those people who do marketing training or CIM training. That's all they will say. And we cannot apologize for it. Do we do other programs? Yes, we do. Now we do project management, we do digital marketing, but they know us for this. This is what we're known for. This is what we're known for. All right. To achieve this, all right, for businesses to achieve that, it is incredible. All right. If I mention, let's see if we can try that. If I mention, oh dear. Let's try this. If I say electric, just type what comes to your mind first in the chat box. Electric cars. Type which brand comes to your mind first, quickly. Let's see what you've got. If I type electric cars, what comes to mind? Okay. Okay, electric cars. Okay, good. If I type running shoes, what comes to mind? Which brand comes to mind? That's it. Thank you very much. That's it. All right, without a doubt, that is the power. That is the power of positioning, okay? The power of positioning. Now, I know I've already talked about toothpaste. But in different countries, when you mention toothpaste, people, Bumbo, you are, yes, please.
Um,
Yeah.
I just wanted to add to what you're saying that I think a lot of founders get this the wrong way around. They might look at Nike and say Nike does running shoes and does them well. And Nike also does the tops, they do they do the hats, they do gear. So they've got a wide range of products. So the founder says, oh, well, I'll be like Nike, I'll do a wide range of products. But Nike started with doing one thing well. And it was when they did that one thing well, when they had the authority based on doing that one thing well, that they had, they added on the other products. Whereas we see so many of the founders that talk to us talking about doing so many things in so many places before being known for one thing. Amazon did books well, and then they brought on other things. So yes, I just wanted to add to that because it's something we see a lot of.
That is an excellent contribution. In fact, only 2 days ago, I was saying exactly the same thing to someone. Only 2 days ago. Only 2 days ago, I was saying exactly the same thing to someone that no, 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 no. All right. There's always opportunity to scale eventually. All right. But you must be good at doing that one thing first. All right. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. So that is so. Thank you very much for all of these, for the contribution. So we know what positioning is. But you see, in here with positioning, there's this thing about competition. I'm absolutely mental when it comes to competition. All right, because we don't talk about it enough. Okay, we don't talk about it enough. And I say this. Okay, I say this in business, even when you are even, in business, an enterprise, whether you're running the business yourself or whether you're within the organization, if you're within the organization and you want to get management's attention, there are only two things. What brings money, what will bring in, what will bring in money, and what will take away money. That's it. So whatever you're trying to propose, if you couch it in those two terms, they will listen. So what brings money will be customers. What can prevent you from getting money can be competition. All right, competitors. So we must pay attention to that. All right, and also the fact that what you achieve in the marketplace is a function of what the competition allows you to accomplish, either by omission or commission. Is what they allowed you to accomplish. And let me just add, and also that you're damned, all right, you're damned if you succeed, and you are damned if you don't succeed. All right. Why do you think? Why will anyone, okay? Let's say for example, Samuel. Let's say for example, Samuel, you set up an operation. Let me go back to avocados. Go back to avocados, and then it turns out that what got out that for the last 2 3 years you've been exporting $1 million of avocados to China. All right. What do you think is going to happen in the marketplace? What will happen in the marketplace? You think people will go and start planting cashew nuts? No, they won't. They won't. They won't. Every other person will come and start doing what? Trying to get into your business. Trying to get into your business. All right. So the reason one of why it is really important to focus on to always think about them, not focus on them, but always have them back of your mind, is that it is your success. It is your success. You might want to write this down so that you never forget. All right, and you never get carried away. You never get carried away. That it is your success that attracts competition. All right, your success is what will attract competition. So make no mistake. All right, the more successful you get, the more successful you are, the more people will want to compete with you and decimate your market share. All right. So we have to make sure that we are reaching the right people and that we are well positioned, because competition will come. They are a fact of life. All right. So competition. So what do we need to know about competing brands? All right. You can start typing in the chat box. Let's go. What do we need to know about them? What do we need to know about competition? Let's go. What do you need to know about your competitors? Whoever they might be. Yes. What do we need to know? Please type in the chat box. What do we need to know about your competitors? Thank you very much. I like that. We began very well. Oh dear. We need to know about their money. Yes, thank you very much. We need to know about their money. Their money. Who their targets are, who their customers are. Thank you very much. Yes, what else? About their money. Because you see, if your entire budget is $10,000, all right, and you are going to you want to compete with a company whose budget is $1 million. You can't win. So knowing how well funded they are is the beginning of wisdom. You want to know their strengths. But which strengths? I want specifics. I want to know their strengths, I want specifics. Samuel, you're correct, but I want to know specifics. Uniqueness of their brand. Thank you very much. You want to know their brand strength. Thank you very much. Your brand strength. Thank you very much. For example, you might find that one of their brands has 50% market share, for example. All right, all right, or you might find that their brand are staffed by very smart people who have all the brand team have got MBAs, for example, or they've got degrees. It could be that because people can also be a strength. It's usually a strength. In fact, I like to say that if company A is doing better than company B, it's because company A has got better people than company B. That's it. All right, the operations. How do they acquire customers? Yes, how do they acquire customers? You might find somewhere, for example, that they are doing a lot on TikTok, or they are not. You might find, for example, that when you search on Google, they are the ones that come up first. They come up second. They come up third. All right, you might find that. Okay, you might find that. Excellent. Thank you very much. All right, you might find that. So you want to know where their money is coming from. You want to know about their products. You want to know about their customers. You want to know about their distribution. You want to know, is it important that we know their prices? Is it important we know their prices? Yes, it is. All right, yes, with whom they are partnering, whom. Their value proposition, I like that. All right, I like their value proposition, because you see, if you don't know their value proposition, if you don't know their value proposition, and then you develop your own value proposition, and your value proposition ends up looking like their value proposition. All right, it means that you look like this and they also look like this. There is no distinction in the marketplace. All right, it is extraordinary how you find two companies promoting themselves in very similar ways. And you say, but are these guys mental? Didn't anyone do any research about the competition to know that this company is already making this same claim? Because the whole point of being in business, one of the reasons, oh dear, what have I done now? Okay. Oh dear. Okay, go. One of the reasons why we want to know about the competition. We want to know about the competition is because you want to be, if the competition is here, all right, you want to be as far away from them as possible. All right, you want to be distinct. You want to be distinct from them as possible. That is why we need to know a lot about them. Because if we don't, and you end up being like the competition, and they have been in the market 10 years before you, you cannot survive. You can't survive. All right, so thank you very much for that point about the value proposition. Okay, it's really, really important, and we're going to be looking at value propositions shortly. All right, how do you get this information though? How will you get it? This competitor stuff, okay, this is the things we want to know, we like to know, but how do you get the information? How will you get it? Where will you start from? Anyone? Where will you start from? Where will you start from? Where will you start from? Where will you get the information from? Where can you get information from? Where? Look online. Thank you very much. But where exactly online? Ask their customers. Very good. I like that. Ask them. Look online. Where online? Where online can we get the information from? Where online? Where? Their website. Thank you very much. Their website. It is extraordinary how much information companies put on their website. It is extraordinary. They don't even realize that people like you and I are checking. They don't realize there is no way you will ever catch me having my pricing information on our website. Impossible. I will never do it. I will never do it. All right? We'll never do it. We've never done it. All right. Some companies, you go to their website, you can tell exactly what their strategy is. You can tell if you're looking. You can tell exactly what they're trying to do. It is mental how ignorant some companies are in some of the things that they're trying to do. But of course, if you're a publicly listed company, your annual report needs to be online. Okay, it has to be online because now you're taking people's money. You need to show what you're doing. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. Thank you. I like that. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. All right, so I've got a long list here for you, all right, of some of the things. You want to know who you're competing against. You want to know what their objectives are. What are they trying to achieve? All right, what strategies are they pursuing? What are they pursuing? What? And with what success? With what success? Let's say, for example, okay, for argument, let's say, for example, you sell luxury clothes to female customers, luxury clothes, female customers. And then another shop opens not far from you, and they specialize in selling luxury clothes to kids. Should you be worried? Should you be concerned? Should anyone be concerned? You are targeting female luxury fashion items to females. They are selling luxury items to kids. Another one opened, they are selling luxury items to men. Should you be worried? Should you be concerned? Hope this picture will be shared with us. Oh, Samuel, no, it won't be shared. It won't be shared. Once you're here, you get it only when you're here, Samuel. So please take some notes. Take some notes, Samuel. Please take some notes. Yes, it will be shared. It will be shared. Don't worry about that. It will be shared, okay? All right. So back to the question. All right. You sell luxury female outfits, and then somebody opens a shop next to you, they're selling luxury kids. Another one opened, they're selling luxury men outfit. All right. Should you be worried? Should you be worried? Absolutely, you need to be worried. Because what strategists do is that they will first start. They will first start by selling stuff. All right, selling other things to your customers. Remember, these female customers here, all right, will go here to buy for their kids. So they start selling products, all right, they start selling. Okay, all right, so you know I'm going with that, all right? So this female goes here to buy items for her kids. She goes here to buy items for boyfriends and partners, all right? Eventually, this guy will start selling female stuff. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. Okay, so we need to know how successful they are. We need to know what their strengths and weaknesses are, all right? How they will behave, all right? So for example, all right, we say this a lot. The company does 10% off, 10% discount. All right, they come back, they come to work the next day, the competition is now doing 12% discount. All right, so you need to know, if I reduce my price by 10%, so I can get more customers. If I know that when I do that, my competition will do the same thing, then why bother doing it at all? Why bother? Why bother doing it at all? All right, why bother? So all of these questions are really, 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 all of these questions are critical. All right, they're critical. Okay, what will I do to provoke retaliation? All right, if you don't want retaliation from the competition, don't do discount. Because once you discount, they will discount. And if they are bigger than you, they can discount deeper than you. All right, eventually you have no business. So be very, very careful. All right, be very, very careful, when engaging. So this analysis, okay, this analysis is really, really important. All right, give me a 1 in the chat box if this is all making sense. Give me a 1 if it is all making sense. Give me a 1 in the chat box if it is making sense. Give me a 1, give me a 1. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so all right, so positioning strategies, so there are different ways. So after you make sure that you've done all of your analysis, especially of the competition. So we spent a bit of time on the competitor analysis because just to drive home the fact that this is fundamental when it comes to positioning. Really, really fundamental. All right, you want to position. There are different ways of doing it, and this list is not exhaustive. It's not exhaustive, okay? For example, people can position by benefits. I gave examples for the toothpaste. So Colgate is only about cavities. All right, it's about cavities. That's it. Aquafresh is about fresh breath. That's the benefit. Sensodyne is about protecting your enamel. All right, if you have got sensitive teeth. That's it. All right. So different products, different companies, and you see, I've mentioned different brands. I've mentioned different brands in the same industry. All right, but they are positioned differently, which means that when a parent is thinking of buying toothpaste and they have kids at home, in their mind, they need to go and buy Colgate. But all these toothpaste, all of them contain what? Fluoride and chloride. But in marketing, we'll stop thinking about fluoride and chloride. We'll start thinking about what the benefits we think we can get from them. All right, and we can think if you're thinking about having crystal white teeth, then you're thinking about other brands, maybe like Maclean's or Ultra Bright and things like that. Okay, some also position for particular people that this product is for a certain kind of person, and that can be quite powerful. That can be quite powerful. So you find, for example, that brands like Gatorade or Lucozade, for example, all right, they're for physically active people. All right, physically active people. Some are positioned on quality, like Mercedes-Benz. Some are positioned on price, like what? Like Shane. Everybody loves Shane. All right, like Shane, until they destroy the environment. Some position on features. Google Pixel phones is all about cameras, AI and camera functionality. That's all they talk about in all of their commercials. All right, that's what they talk about in all of their commercials. All right, and then you find some companies that sell some products, they will say, oh, it is Italian tradition, for example. All right, if you're talking about some kind of olive oils or pizzas and stuff like that, so there are different ways of positioning. And this, like I said, this is not exhaustive. I'll show you some examples. But before you choose your positioning, you must think about what it is that you can do better than the competition. What can you do better? So Google, for example, has doubled down on the Pixel phones, on their AI functionality. And it's really crazy what those phones can do. It's really crazy what the cameras on those phones can do. It's really, really crazy. All right. So you want to know what it is. So you might have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things that you do really, really well. But of these 5 things, 4 of them can also be done by the competition. The only thing that you can do that is different for you is that. That is what you will now choose here. That's what you will now choose there. Because this is what separates you from the other brands. That is what separates you. That's what separates you from the other brands. Okay. For example, if you take, you know, um, um, when we talk about cars and we talk about reliability, since many of us here in Africa talk about reliability for cars, we think about Toyota, for example. All right, very reliable. Okay. So you want to choose the one that can give you that advantage, and then that is what you will now communicate. That is what you will communicate. So if we think about cars, for example, okay, if we think about cars, for example, Volvo has been positioned as a safe car. This is what they communicate. All right. So, but of course, Volvo is also fast. All right. But BMW will tell you they're better than that. They are also reliable, but Toyota owns that. It's also a luxury car, but Mercedes-Benz will own that. All right. They also have hybrid and electric versions, but that already belongs to Tesla. Does that make sense? All right. So instead, the one that no one can take away from them that differentiates them is safety. So that is what they will go and focus on. All right, so that is how that works. So this is an example of what we'll refer to as a perceptual map. A perceptual map, or some will call it a positioning map. All right, and here you've got two dimensions. You've got two dimensions, quality and price. Okay, this is not a very clever perceptual map. It's not very clever. It's not very intelligent. It's extremely basic. Extremely basic. All right. It's not enough to differentiate between brands. It's really, really, really basic. If you really want to do serious work at ease, you must find other dimensions that consumers care about, but that can also sufficiently differentiate you from other brands. So, for example, this is for ice cream. All right, you've got innovative and organic. Okay, that's useful. Okay, remember here we can also do high price, low price. All right, but we use in other dimensions. So you can use different dimensions. You must think. This is why marketing strategy. Marketing strategy is that process about segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Because this is brain work grounded in research and insights that will help you tell, okay, my customers will respond better to this. These features, advantages, and benefits sufficiently differentiate me from my brand. Because what you want to accomplish is to create a moat between you and the rest. All right. So these two brands are standing separately from the rest of them. That's what you want to do. All right. That's what you want to do. This is some work that I did. This is some consulting work I did for Ghana many years ago. I was asked to put together the National Tourism Marketing Strategy. That's what I was asked to do, the National Tourism Marketing Strategy. So as part of that process, I need to, reposition the brand. And after much research and all of that, this is how I place the different tourism markets. So this one here is Mauritius and Seychelles. Popular, they're very popular, but very touristic, which means that it's everywhere. You guys might be aware that in Spain, people are protesting now that they don't want any more tourists. That is too much. It's too much. All right. The number of people who visit Spain in a year is more than their own population. Is insane, the number of visitors that they get in Spain. All right, so very popular. And then South Africa as well. And then we've got single theme and then diverse possibilities. So single theme means that Seychelles and Mauritius is really about the beach. It's really about beach. Okay, that's what it is. It's really about the beach. South Africa is touristic, but they have everything. All right, they got a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff that you can do there. And then you have Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco. All right, Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, they are also popular touristic. They are not exactly single theme, but then again, people go to Egypt for the pyramids. I mean, that's it, right? Really, there's not too much. And then these ones in green are the ones in my strategic group. These are West African countries that I believed were more that I believe were more in the competitive set for Ghana. Okay, Ghana cannot compete with Seychelles, Mauritius, South Africa. They cannot compete with Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, Kenya. Impossible. You know, when I showed, because I did this work in conjunction with the tourism stakeholders, the Ministry of Tourism, the Tourism Development Board. My fees were paid by the Japanese and the Dutch government when I was presenting each phase of the work to them, because they have a mentality of how they think the thing should be. So the only way to convince them is with evidence. I told them, listen, guys, just forget about Kenya. Forget about South Africa. Forget about this country. You cannot compete. Not today, not tomorrow. Just forget it. And besides, back again to the the person, whoever is coming to Ghana as a tourist has already been to Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco. They've already gone to South Africa, Tanzania, Kenya. All right. They went to Seychelles and Mauritius when they were in their late 20s. So they've done all of that. All right. So they come in, so they're looking for unspoiled natural environments, but they also have diverse possibilities. So my work was to reposition, was to move Ghana from here, because Ghana was single theme, and the single theme that they were selling was a slave route. So they attract a lot of Black Americans. But many other countries in West Africa also do that. Senegal is very big. Senegal, in fact, Kunta Kinte is Gambian. All right, Kunta Kinte is from the Gambia. How more authentic can you be? And on the website of Sierra Leone, they say that the Bonds Island is by far more, the castles in Sierra Leone were more authentic than the castles in Ghana. The slave, the castle. I mean, imagine that. So our challenge was to move them away from this into that, so they can be here. That was the work that we had to do. So that when you do that, you can create a gulf between you and the rest of them. So when your positioning is effective, you are distinct from the rest of the market. How are we doing for time? I think you guys deserve a break. Oh dear. You guys deserve a break. Otherwise, I can go on. You can tell I can go on till 6 p.m. You guys deserve a break. So I think you guys should take a break. I've got some examples here that I would like to share with you. Okay, so Bamba, I think what I would do, oh dear, let me just do this, go through these slides and then play them a video and then they can take a break. Okay, so give me 5 minutes. So when you do that, okay, when you achieve that, then you cannot put together your positioning statement. All right, you cannot put together your positioning statement. The positioning statement. Janet and Miss Safo, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us. Are you joining us from Ghana or you're joining us from somewhere else? I've been through this continent of Africa so much, I can tell from people's names where they're from.
I'm actually joining from Ghana.
Excellent. Which part of Ghana are you joining us from?
Kumasi.
Sorry, from Kumasi?
Yes, please.
Garden City of Kumasi. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Thank you. All right, so brand positioning. So you find what I have done here is to have positionings and statements from two companies that are competing with each other. All right, competing with one another. They're competing with one another just to demonstrate that you can be in the same, you're competing will come in the same space, but you can be positioned differently. So Nike, for example, all right, performance-driven athletes, aspirational premium gear, whereas Decathlon is for, you see that, beginner to intermediate athletes, families, all right? Wide range of affordable. Does that make sense? So it's the same space, but they are trying to reach different people. And then I've got two cars. I've got BMW driving enthusiast with a focus on speed, precision engineering, and performance. All right, BMW ran a campaign, their most successful campaign. All right, they call their car the ultimate driving machine. The ultimate. So that is what they focus on. Whereas Volvo, families, safety conscious people, human-centric vehicles with, so cutting-edge safety features. That is Volvo. All right, that is Volvo. So I want to show you how this translates now into an ad. All right, how that translates into an ad. So you see from this piece of advertising, you will see how they have been able to translate that. All right, so what many people see is this, and they think that this is what marketing is. No, it is not. All right, it has begun from way, 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 way back. Now, this is now the operationalizing or the expression of all of that thinking. So enjoy. I hope it plays. Okay. Can you guys hear the sound?
Strange as it sounds, extraordinary magic follows you around, and the camera can't catch it. You won't see it in me. If I say look behind you, you turn around, it disappears. I see it, I see it. So I'll keep my eyes open, awed and amazed, and if you start to doubt it, I'll remind you of the million ways I see it. I see it, I swear I do. I see extraordinary magic in you.
Fantastical. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. When you go back and read that, does it make sense? Does it capture that? All right. Type 1 in the chat box if you think that captures it. If you think it captures it, type 1 in the chat box. Excellent. Excellent stuff. Okay. Can you tell me why you think it is a woman driving that vehicle and not a man? Why is it a woman that's driving the vehicle? Why? Why? Women are meant to be safe drivers anyway. So why is it not a man? Why is it not a man that is driving the vehicle? All right. When we come back from break, I would like to hear from you. So I think at this point, let's take a breather. Bambo, let us know how many minutes of break we have, and then we'll come back, and then we'll let me know.
Thanks, Principal. We're going to try and keep the break quite brief because it's almost 2, and I know that we also need time to talk to each other once Principal has finished. So we will come back at 5 minutes past 2. Exactly. We'll start again at 5 minutes past 2. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So let me go. Thank you. So let me go. Okay, so I'm gonna stop. Welcome, 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 welcome.
Welcome back.
Okay, let's put this up. Resume. Okay, so whilst we are there, can we quickly are we there? Okay, good. Whilst we're here, can we quickly recap on some of the learning so far? Let's take 2 or 3 minutes to do that, and then we'll carry on. What we have learned so far, we're going to move on to value propositions, which I think is what we'll end this with. If we have a bit more time, we might look at some digital. Otherwise, that will be the subject of a different workshop. Okay. Yes, are we all back? Please type one in the chat box if we're all back so that I know I'm not just speaking to myself. Type one into the chat box if you are here. Thank you, Janet. Thank you very much. Yes, who is here? Who is back? Who is back? Type one into the chat box so that we know you're back. Thank you very much. So I have Samuel, I have Janet. Yes, yes. Who else is here? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Bambo, can you confirm at what time you want to do that networking thing so that I can work towards that?
I think we can probably spend another 30 minutes. So we'll
Okay.
start the networking at,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Let me walk through that. So that means I have about enough time for us to go through crafting value propositions, um, crafting value propositions, and then we'll do an activity to help us embed the learning, and then we'll take it from there. Okay. So we hear about this thing about these unique value propositions. We hear about it time and time again. I want us to be able to understand what it is and be able to put one together. I actually like this. I like it a lot because of my camera is still off. Apologies. I like it a lot because it is one of those things that you can begin to use to add value to your organization. If you work somewhere, you can also use it to add value to your own business if you're running your own enterprise. So value propositions, it is not possible for you to be trying to raise money, talking to investors, and not know what crafting a unique value proposition is about. Unique value proposition. You have also heard people speak a lot. You might have heard about elevator pitches. All right, your elevator pitch. You meet someone in the lift, and they ask you, what is your business about? You want to be able to tell them as succinctly as possible what your business is about, what makes a difference, why you think you will win, like that. So the next couple of slides are going to help us do that. In order for us to capture that, we have something that we'll refer to as a value proposition canvas. This value proposition canvas is a framework that enables us to craft a unique value proposition. So this canvas has got two elements. Okay, on the right hand side, you got the customer profile. In effect, who are we dealing with? Okay, who is this customer? I remember that in our previous sessions, we talked about the customer personas. All right, customers' personas. Okay, so you have that. And then on the left-hand side, you got what a value proposition are. Now you will notice that there seems to be some congruence between the right-hand side and the left-hand side. So in the right-hand side here, you've got gains. And on the left-hand side, you've got gain creators. Okay, you can see some alignment in there. And then on the bottom of the right, you've got customer pains. And then on the left-hand side, you've got pain relievers. Okay, we see some congruence there as well. And then we also have what we call customer jobs to be done, customer jobs. And then you've got a product and service that you've developed that incorporates the pain relievers and the gain creators to try to deliver the gains, eliminate or minimize the pains so that the customer can do what it is that they want to do. Okay, so they can do what it is that they want to do. So this is what we call a value proposition canvas. If you are able to populate this, then you will have gone a long way in trying to put together your value proposition. So let us look at each of the elements one after the other. The first thing we look at here is customer jobs, the jobs to be done. So for example, if someone buys themselves a Ferrari, A Ferrari. What do you think is a job to be done? What do you think? What is a job to be done? If someone buys a Ferrari, what do you think is a job to be done? What are they buying? Are they buying a car to take them from point A to point B? No. All right. Are they buying a car from point A to point B? Are they buying that? Because if they are buying that, then maybe they could have just saved themselves some money and buy themselves a Toyota Camry or a Cinquecento, a Fiat 500, maybe. A Fiat 500, maybe. All right, what is a job to be done? Let me put it in a different way. All right, a different way. If someone goes to the shop and they buy themselves a machine, a 1/4-inch drilling machine, what do they want? All right, what do they want? Thank you very much. What they want is a hole. The job to be done. The job to be done. The job to be done is to drill a hole. Which means, if that is a job to be done, it means that they can get that job to be done with a laser. All right, with a laser beam. You just point it, and then it drills a hole. That's it. All right, they don't need a physical machine that you plug in and it goes. No, they don't need that. All right, so what is a job to be done? What is a job to be done? So that is what that is about. The things customers are trying to get done. All right, many times in business, we forget that. We forget all of that and spend our time on, and spend time promoting things on social media and all of that stuff. All right, I'm promoting all of that, thinking that that is what, but that is not what it is. All right, in our training business, are people coming to our training business to get qualifications? No, that is not the job to be done. All right, the job to be done is career progression. All right, they want to make progress in their careers. We're helping them to make progress in their careers through qualifications. But the job to be done is at the end of the day, when they finish with us, they want to see meaningful progress in their careers. They expect meaningful progress in their careers. All right, so what are the gains? What do you expect? What are the gains? The outcomes, the benefits, the job to be done, and the benefits they want to achieve. Okay, and currently, the problems they experience before, during, and after, the problems they experience before, during, and after getting the job to be done, the problems they experience. Okay, because you think about it, okay, if you are able to solve, if you're able to deliver the gains, and you are able to solve some of these problems with your new proposition, then you can win. All right, then you can win. All right, then you can win. Okay, you can win. All right. For example, one of the issues people used to, one of the challenges people have when they are traveling and they book hotels and they've got family members and they are going with young kids. All right, they're going with young kids and they can cook. They can't make food. They can't make their own food. If you go and eat in the hotel restaurant all the time, you blow your holiday budget in 2 days. You blow it in 2 days. All right. One of the pains that Airbnb was able to resolve. When you book people's homes, their kitchens. You book the apartments, the whole apartment with kitchens and fridges and everything. All right, so you get a nice comfy place to stay for yourself or for kids, and then you can make food and all of that. You have a lot more flexibility, okay? So the customer gains, the pains, the gains. And then what you will offer, and then how you will, the gain creators, all right, how your product and services will deliver those gains, and how you will eliminate those things that are pissing customers off. All right, that is pissing customers off. For example, for example, for example, some of my do you my friends in Kenya, in Nigeria, in Ghana. I'm happy we have people in Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya. Why do you think? Why do you think mobile? Why do you think mobile phone transfers are so popular? Why do more people have mobile phone accounts? Why do more people transfer money through mobile phones than going through the banks? All right, I'm going to the banks. Okay, the Kenyans taught us this. I think M-Pesa has been around since 2007. It's painful to deal with this, to deal with the banks. Painful. All right, how do you send money to how do you send money to your loved ones in the villages and all that? When they don't have internet, they don't know how to use smartphones, and you want the security. You want the security that they also get the money. How do you do that? There were significant pains in dealing with the banks. All right, significant pains in dealing with the bank, significant pains. All right, so it is not a surprise really that in these countries, this mobile fintech payment system. I mean, the time M-Pesa started, we're not even calling them fintech at the time. We just call it mobile transfer. We weren't even calling them fintech. Those guys were ahead of their time. All right, ahead of your time. Okay, so value propositions, value propositions. So let me show you an example. This is a value proposition for Uber. Uber. All right, Uber. The job to be done. Jobs to be done. Contact a good taxi service. All right, without waiting. Okay, and you can control the cost of your ride, so you can see how much it is. Before then, at least, these Ubers started in big cities in the world. Those cities where the taxis have got meters. If you have ever sat in a taxi in London that has a meter, you understand why Ubers will be successful. All right, you understand? When the taxi gets into a traffic jam, oh dear, you will be sweating. All right, sometimes it's just cheaper to walk than for you to do that. Okay, so this is the job to be done. Now, the customers will like zero time for payment. All right, if you ever sat in a taxi and it's time to pay and then there's no change, they're looking for change. And then because you need to get into a meeting, you leave the change with them. If you put your loved ones in a taxi, you want to know where they are and track them. So you'll be happy if there's a way to have some, that you can trust the driver. All right, you want to know that. And then it's not difficult to order it. This is what we would like. The problem was, it is when you want to go to the airport and you call the taxi company, you realize that there are no taxis. All right? And when you want to go to the airport, during holidays, when you book the holiday. And then where are there no taxis? During holidays. It is extraordinary silly, but that is what it is. So you need to book in advance. And for booking in advance, they will charge you a lot of money. And because the drivers do not expect to carry you another day, they can be very rude to you. They don't care. And they can be very rude to you. So what have they done? All right, pain relievers, driver's rating system. Estimated when you're going to get there. Payment, your bank card is already in the system. So, I mean, in the beginning, right? In the beginning, when you started taking Ubers, it was almost like an out-of-body experience. That you get into a taxi, you get to where you're going, you open the door, you get out, and you just walk away. You just walk away. You don't think about it, you just walk away. All right, you just walk away. Now, even in Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, it's possible to do that, even though they started out with payment on delivery. All right, so they take you to where you're going to and then you pay them. All right, but now they're encouraging people. So now many of us just, okay, and then it's always available. In fact, there are some Uber drivers in London who only work at night. Actually, even in Kenya, they only work at night. Only at night. They say the daytime, too much traffic, or maybe they actually have another job. Only at night. So it's always available, always available. So there's a rating system to deal with that, card payment, you can navigate your trip, you can manage all of your trips on one platform. Fantastic. All right, absolutely fantastic. So that we can see how the value proposition canvas works. for an organization like Uber. All right. Was that useful? Was it useful? Can you say how all of that works? So for your business, for your organization, will you be able to do something like that? All right. Do something like that for your organization. If you do that and you show it to your bosses, they will be grateful. They'll say, oh, wow, this is fresh thinking. All right. This is fresh thinking. But the question is, how do you now take all of these and translate that into a statement? So I've got a framework for you. I've got a framework for something you can take away from here, that you can take away from here and use for that. Okay. If you check Bambo, do they have that document? Okay, so we have emailed you. You have seen the Volvo positioning statement. You have seen the Volvo commercial. I've also sent you the value proposition for Volvo. All right, using this framework. All right, the proposition for Volvo using this framework. Okay, so to craft the value proposition, you need to craft it. Let me see, this thing is charging. Are you charging? Yes, hopefully you are. All right, okay, so you need to say who. Okay, who. So you define who the target audience is. Who. All right, who your target audience is. Who are you doing this for? All right, who are you doing it for? Okay, actually, let me see. Let me open up bless you. Oh dear, no. No, that's not what I want. There you are. There you are. Okay. Can you guys see that? Okay, cannot open that file. Okay, yeah, so let's just look at it from here. Can make it bigger. Okay, yeah, so this is one for Volvo. All right. For safety conscious families. Safety conscious families. All right. And we saw that already. Who are not satisfied with performance obsessed or status driven brand that overlook long-term reliability, safety. Okay. They overlook that. Okay. Our proposition will help them to drive with peace of mind and pride, knowing they are protected when choosing a vehicle for their daily commute. So this is a job to be done. All right, a job to be done. Unlike the competition, unlike who prioritize speed, flashiness, short-term trends, we offer elegantly designed. So this is your product and services. And then you say why you are better. All right, it is better because. All right. So if I time myself saying all of this, okay, where is my stopwatch? Where are you? You will find that stopwatch, 1 minute. For safety conscious families, responsible professionals, and thoughtful drivers who are not satisfied with performance obsessed, or status driven car brand that overlook long-term reliability, safety, and emotional connection. Our proposition will help them drive with peace of mind and pride, knowing they are protected, investing in a car built for enduring relationships. When choosing a vehicle for daily commutes, family transport, or long-term ownership, unlike luxury brands that prioritize speed and flashiness or short-term trends, we offer elegantly designed, technology integrated, and safety-first vehicles engineered with care. It is better because Volvo cars are built to last, designed around people, grounded in a brand philosophy that values life, sustainability, and understated confidence. I'm going to show you how many seconds that is. Can you see that? Okay, it says 56 seconds. That's it. 56 seconds. All right, 56 seconds. So your elevator pitch, all right, in under a minute. So this is what we've got here. All right. So what I've just done, is to go through this framework. Okay, is to go through that framework. So if you have this in front of you, then you are in a good position. You are in a good position to be able to put together that value proposition. Are we good? I know we are a bit out of time. It's almost 12:30. But I had this challenge for you, this task for you to do. This was the last thing we're going to do. If you can, I have this in that workbook already. So if you can do that and send them to Bootcamp, so they can send it to me. I can go through them and give you some advice. That will be fabulous. All right, that'll be fabulous. But until then, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just type my name. Just type my name. There's only one of me. Unique, special, unique. There's only one of me. It's a unique value proposition. There's only one of me. All right. So just type Prince Will. Okay. Look for Prince Will. I'll be very, very, very happy to connect with you guys. Very, very happy. All right. And take some questions about your business, your enterprises, and things that you're trying to do. All right. So on that note, I would like to call it a day. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. If you have questions, I'm happy to take them. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Well, Prince Will, what can I say? I knew that you would, kill it, and you did. So thank you. I need to start with saying my own thank you. Before we start the sort of networking side, I'd really like to give people an opportunity to ask Prince Will any questions that they might have. Perhaps there's been something you've been trying to do from a marketing perspective for your business, and you're not quite sure whether you're doing it right. Now's the time to get that quick answer if you've got that, if you've got something you need to get some advice on. If you're not able to talk, you can put it in the chat.
Yes. Let me hear you.
I don't see any hands. Okay, in which case we will assume that everything that Prince Will said was extremely clear, and you've all know exactly what your value proposition is, and you're all very happy, which is fantastic. It's good. In which case, if we can move on then to spend a bit of time just reminding ourselves about who we are and what we do and what we might need from the community. So if you can just tell us again, I know some of you had the opportunity earlier on to say who you are, but please tell us again who you are, what your company does, and what sort of support you need from the community, please. And I will start with Samuel.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah, you're fine. Yes.
Oh. I'm called Namanya Samuel. I'm based in Uganda. We work with smallholder farmers purposely to support them in transforming agri-food systems, more especially by creating innovative last-mile delivery approaches that enable them to access some of the inputs, those input and output market. And also, we also focus on creating innovative financial solutions that can help them maybe to access some of the resources. So we do that one through like four systems. First of all, we begin by creating awareness. That's the model we use. And after awareness, we see how we can motivate them. Then after that, we try to create an entrepreneurship spirit. So having said that one, then we focus those are key foundation. Then the process, what we normally do, we look at market orientation. How can we impart that orientation to produce on market driven? Then we organize them professionally. Then we do some skills and knowledge and technology transfer, then strategic linkages. But one of the things that I have clearly picked, and which I think it has been instrumental, crafting that value proposition, because we are just crafting, we are doing this one, but it was not clearly coming out. So what I would request, as he has said, I'm going to prepare one and I share it with you. Also, I think some strategies how we can access some funding, investors whom we can work with to transfer some of the things, even some knowledge sharing, because actually I have told you a model. If I share with my model, you can see how to modify it, also how to create a pinching plan. So those are the things I may request, because the marketing now, at least I have learned in marketing, you have to first have objectives, and I may say I have need to be setting clear objectives for marketing objectives, but now I have learned them, because from what I have set example and what they have pushed it, I think now I'm clear to set those clear objective marketing objectives. Segmentation, you have to focus not all the agriculture crops, you have to focus on one crop. Then another thing that actually I would like to see, they said when you're segmenting, you choose 5, which all people do, 4 which all people do. For instance, I may say in agriculture, in market systems, value addition, those things, but the 5th one, which says to me as a unique. So because I've been thinking, if all we are doing the same thing, I need to choose one. For instance, I can focus now maybe on last mile delivery of input the farmers. That to do whenever anybody thinks how can we access farmer for inputs, they look for a company. That's one thing that I picked. And I think I focus on that. Then I need more your assistance how to craft that. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I'm glad you've had so much value from this. And yes, definitely we'd like to help you take this forwards. Okay, Zachariah, sorry, go on.
Yes, thank you very much. I have put my LinkedIn link in there. I will need to sadly leave the session so that I can meet up with another engagement. And if that's okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you guys, everyone. Really nice to meet you all. I'll be looking forward to your connections on LinkedIn. All the best. Cheers.
Okay, thanks, Prince Will. Thank you. Okay. The rest of us, those of you that can stay, I'd still like us to introduce each other. So I'm going to move on now to Zachariah. If you can introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like from the community. So you're obviously your name, your company, and what you do and what you'd like from the community.
Thank you very much, Mandamola. First and foremost, I take this opportunity to apologize for coming in late and having a lot of in and outs. But I'm happy. I'm so much delighted to have this opportunity to be with this Melanin community. Well, I'm Zakaria Mwangi, a learning Zenja Organic Run Farms company, operating farm system management and organic food production consultancy here in Kenya. I have loved and enjoyed the marketing strategies and the value proposition. Basically, the value proposition has won my heart today. Yeah, I'm so much happy about it. Yeah, well, from the community, much more I'm liking and I'm willing to download from the community is the mutual understanding, the great values of sharing what others have done, those who have done it before us, the great strategies that people share along the world, because the world is becoming a small village where people can engage at any given time. And more so for the funding aspect, because after all these, the most aspect is to put in capital so that we may be able to execute our own businesses and our own strategies. So this prepares us for the funding portal, because even with the marketing, with the capital, I mean, and without the skills of marketing, well, we can't be able to make returns. So I'm happy that this comes before funding. Well, I may not say much. I'm so much humbled. My heart is full of joy. I'll keep this community internally forever. So I find this more of my family rather than even a business. Yeah, a business community. I find it more of a family community. So thank you very much and look forward to having you more and more.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, great. Janet, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Okay. I'm Jeanette Safo, and I'm the director of a female e-commerce startup called X Lady. It is aimed at female business owners to provide them with the quality tools they need to run their business, and also to provide them with a platform where they can easily get access to their customers. And to be very honest, this meeting, I'm so sorry for coming late, but this meeting is actually very, very, very valuable to me because I was able to understand more about value proposition. And to be very honest, I'm just sitting down writing my own value proposition about X Lady, and it's really, really helping. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I'm glad that it's been helpful to you. I think we've lost a couple of people, but we've gained Viola. Welcome, Viola. You might be interested to know that we are at the tail end of this conversation. Um, we've had Prince Will talk us through marketing fundamentals, including value proposition, and we will be posting the whole workshop on our websites going forwards. But if you are up for it, please do introduce yourself. And let us know what it is you do and any support that the community can provide for you so that the rest of us here actually can have you in our minds as we go about our days. And who knows, maybe we can connect you up with somebody. So welcome.
Thank you, Ola. My name is Viola. Sorry, I joined late. I was doing something. I'm in Kampala, Uganda. Are you able to hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Okay. So I'm in Kampala, Uganda, and I run a company called Dovio Logistics Limited. Yeah, I think I missed out on a couple of things, but I'll catch up on the website.
And can you tell me,
Yeah,
so what
I
does
love that topic. I love that topic for today because I'm actually in the field of marketing, so it speaks to me. Yeah,
Fantastic. Okay,
yeah. Thank you so much.
you're very
I'll
welcome.
catch up.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I think that's everybody that's on right now. I think we had shown, but she's not on at the moment. She might have needed to drop. Right. Thank you for being here. As Prince Will promised, if you send through your value propositions, we will give you feedback on those value propositions, and hopefully that will help you to really take the business where you want to take it. So please do your homework, and we will look to help you with that as well. Otherwise, thank you for being here. Thank you again for being here. If you are not a member yet, please do join on the website to become a member. And we look forward to seeing you at the next bootcamp event at the end of June or at one of our networking events in between now and then. But thank you very much.